How's it going, everybody? I chose this song to lead the stream.
Time for a celebration! Cheese for everyone!
Since the song always feels like it has a distinctly nostalgic feel to it. I know the song itself is pretty new, of course, from Deltarune, but yeah, like the first time I heard this song when we played Deltarune, it was like I remember being like hit with a wave of nostalgia, despite it not being inherently nostalgic. So that's why I chose that song. How's it going? No Home Gamma. Appreciate the opening banter there. Greetings, Cryuji, Speed Frog, Mr. Ukazi, thanks for 33 months. Hey, Radiant Ice, Core Arm, the ultimate question. Well, it's not really the ultimate question because that question has been answered approximately 21 years ago or so. But that said, I choose the wrong answer anyway because that's how I roll. I don't know how much RAM I had the first time I played TA, or the last time for that matter, but I believe I first played TA in 1998, and I last played it in 2009. To elaborate on the core arms, so core and arm are the two kind of sides or classes or races or whatever for the game, for those unfamiliar. Oh, we'll watch the opening. Oh, we won't watch the opening cinematic. We launch directly into multiplayer. I'll launch it independently to watch the opening cinematic because I actually haven't seen that in a very long time either. So we'll do that real quick before we actually launch the game there. And the opening cinematic will explain a little bit about the backstory between Core Arm. Not that it's, you know, terribly deep or meaningful or whatever. But, there. I almost want to just, like, quote the opening cinematic. It was really the easiest way to explain it, so. But as far as the sides actually go, Arm is better. Like, that's just the case. There's like about 2 maps in the game where Core is better, otherwise Arm is better. But I play Core. I've always played Core, and I'm gonna continue playing Core. But obviously Core is not without some advantages. But Arm just has little subtle advantages, like, all over the place, and on the places it matters, mostly. Like, Arm has the flash tank, which Radiant alluded to. Also other EMGs, which can be useful too, but especially the flash. Just a solid rating unit that has a powerful weapon. Like, Core's rating unit isn't even bad, the Instigator, it's just, it just is clearly worse than the Flash, so, it's kind of a mainstay, but, also, Arm's construction units move faster, so, that just means they can, you know, build faster, expand faster, things like that. Like, it's not drastic, but it's certainly relevant. They've got a long-range artillery gun that's just way more accurate than Core's version. Stuff like that. They've and like the things that like end up making Core unique or just like bad mostly. So like Arm has this unit that can be like go across water and across land out of its normal K-bot lab. Like you've got 3 types of main units. You've got vehicles, K-bots, which are also land units, but tend to be a little more maneuverable, and then vehicles. And then you got like aircraft. So ARM has a uniquely good unit that can go across water called the Pelican. Its mainstay like offensive plane is just better than Core's mainstay offensive plane, so that's a that's a problem. Core's bombers are better. So Core does have better bombers. It has a few other subtle advantages. Core tends to be a little stronger in the water, but because if you're doing stuff in the water, you can almost always do stuff in the air as well. ARM's Hawks tend to do really well, even if there's a lot of water involved. Am I saying that the buzzsaw is suboptimal? So yeah, that's actually an interesting point, Fuxi. Again, for those unfamiliar, the buzzsaw is like a super expensive weapon that is just like awesome, basically. It is like this spitty super plasma cannon that shoots just like ultra damaging projectiles very rapidly over long range. And the buzzsaw is way better than ARM's version, the Vulcan. Turns out they're both garbage and should never ever be built in a competitive game, though. So, like, the fact Core's version is way better doesn't really help Core out very much. Yeah. So that's a thing. And nice job voting for it for many years, Zergling. We finally got there. Finally got TA rolling here. Greetings, Fuxi. Gotron, thanks for 63 months. Greetings, Magnificent. And yeah, loads very, very fast now, and it plays a lot smoother too. Than it did on, let's see, I was probably still on a 33.6 modem in 1998. Yeah, like, so it plays better than it did over M-Player on my 33.6 modem back in 1998. Yeah, Radiant Ice, that was something that I'd never really participated in when I played multiplayer. That wasn't in my circles, but there was a ARM versus Core setup that was set up where like you would play a multiplayer match on a specific map and vie for control over it and stuff like that. That was later kind of recreated by fans on some of the other online services like Phoenix Works or whatever. It's possible I played a Phoenix Works game or whatever. That was one of the only things that was incentivizing modern players to play Core. And like to be clear, when I say ARM is better, like 95% of competitive multiplayer people played ARM. Like it was decided. Like it wasn't really up for debate. There's still a few maps that Core was good on, and there's a few players like Postal that stuck by Core like I did as well, but. So yeah, no, the thing that's the Necro no home is sad because the Necro is broken. It works. Necro was the last unit released for Total Annihilation. TA actually had a cool thing where they, like, even back in 97, 98 or whatever, they were releasing downloadable units to add to the game, and that was really neat. The last one released was the Core Necro, which is a neat unit that can revive like dead units from their wreckage and stuff, and that was really cool. But it wasn't like actually tested and done correctly before it was released, so its reclaim range is 0, which means like if you queue it up to do a couple of different things like repair, reclaim, and stuff, it's just going to break and not know how to work correctly. So that's unfortunate. So basically, Core just keeps getting the short edge of the stick, but so it goes. So it goes. That's okay. I could be the Core underdog. You don't know if you can renew your sub for Core Scum. Look, I'm playing the challenging race, Fousey. Although we could play on the pass, and then Core has an advantage there. That's like one of the only Core maps. Like, yeah, when they redid that Galactic War thing we were talking about a few minutes ago, with, you know, they had all the, like, maps that you would fight across and stuff. The Core home world was the pass. It wasn't one of the metal maps or whatever, like, that was actually called the Core home world in-game, in the game's lore or whatever. It was the pass because it was one of the only maps that Core clearly had the advantage on. Greetings, Land Spider. Yeah, Krogoth is another one that is basically garbage in competitive multiplayer, but I have seen it. There's two circumstances where the Krogoth isn't completely garbage in competitive multiplayer. One is outdated, but that was the unit cap. So original TA had a 250 unit cap, and then that was pretty readily expanded to a 500 unit cap. Modern day unit cap is basically 1500, like effectively unlimited, but it's still capped at that because the game can break in weird ways if it goes too much higher than that. But if your units are limited to 250 or whatever, it doesn't matter if smaller units are more efficient if you're already at the cap, right? So and that's the case that the Krogoth was useful. The Krogoth being like this huge mech that has really powerful weapons but costs a ludicrous amount of resources. The other situation that the Krogoth was useful at all in was on metal maps if the game lasted long enough. A metal map being that resources were a lot more unlimited on a metal map. So in Total Annihilation you've got two resources. You've got metal and energy. In a standard map, you've got metal spots on the ground that you need to build metal extractors on to get the resources. Energy you can generally build anywhere, but that's stuff like wind or solar power, or later like fusions or whatever. But they don't need to be built on specific areas. On metal maps, everywhere is metal, so you can build metal extractors wherever you want. So essentially you just have a lot more resources available, and when you have just ludicrous amounts of resources to spend, it can potentially be worth using Krogoths. Like I saw a match between very good players where one was like slowly falling behind, but the other one just built like a bunch of Krogoths and like sent them in, and like normally if you just like let the Krogoth build by itself, it takes like 10 minutes to build or something, but they had a huge swarm of units helping to build them and stuff like that. But in any case, yeah, no balance mod. We're playing on the unofficial patch, which is, if anyone played some competitive multiplayer, it's basically the modern incarnation of the TA demo recorder. So it adds a few quality of life features, and it fixes a few bugs, like it fixes some pathfinding bugs that could happen when the unit counts got over like 1,000 or something like that. But for the most part, it's still original TA. I mean, with the expansion, of course, but yes. Greetings, Chronometrics! How much will be TA Theory Talk? I don't know, Crazy. I don't know. I just thought it made sense to discuss some backstory of the game, and like, I know it doesn't necessarily make that much sense to anyone who hasn't seen it before. It'll make more sense actually watching it and stuff, but we'll talk in a way that is hopefully interesting and informative to people unfamiliar with TA, but also interesting and or nostalgic to people who are familiar with TA. So I thought that was kind of a worthwhile introduction to discuss. But yeah, other things that like make TA unique as far as like its economy goes and stuff like that. After 11 years, what's 10 more minutes? Exactly, Circling, exactly. But, so yeah, the economy, rather than like a lot of real-time strategy games, especially ones of its day, where everything was discrete, like in Warcraft 2 or something, you would need to have your 250 gold available to buy the knight or whatever like that, and you would just buy it and then it would start building. In Total Annihilation, it's a constant like income versus cost situation. So you're like every second you're generating your metal and your energy, and every second you're spending that metal and energy, so basically build time divided by total cost or whatever is how much it costs to build something per second or whatever. So you could start things like you were able to stall out on resources, which could temporarily be good, but you didn't want to do too much. And you also could waste resources, like if you're bringing in income and you're already at your maximum metal, that's generally a bad thing and wasteful, so you want to avoid that. And additionally, so that's a cool system too. Like, I like it in general, right? There aren't that many games that have that kind of economy, and I think it's good and interesting. Another thing that makes it interesting is that the battlefield itself is basically a resource, because most units in the game leave wreckage. Like planes don't, but any of your land units, sea units, leave wreckage when they're destroyed, and reclaiming that wreckage is worth a decent chunk of metal. So, like, if you, like, attack and raid someone, but your units just die and don't really do any damage, you've now just given your opponent a bunch of metal that they can reclaim and utilize to power their war machine and sit back at you and stuff like that. So, the economy there is something that made TA really interesting and unique. That and kind of its, like, scale to some extent. Like, rather than controlling the, I don't know, 30, 40 units or whatever you might be actively controlling in Warcraft 2 or something, you're controlling potentially hundreds of units. And you might be, like, losing a ground war over here while you're, like, building up an air force here to, like, sneak in the back and take out their key targets. And, like, you could be doing a whole bunch of useful stuff at the same time. And, yeah. Like, so there's plenty of other, like, subtleties that are interesting in the game. And, you know, plenty of problems, too, right? Like, on the balance end, we talked about how one side's pretty much just better than the other one. There's also several units that are just literally never worth building in a competitive game, and several more that are very, very situational, that are mostly bad, and yeah, there's certainly some flaws. It's a 22-year-old game, but it still has a lot of cool design that was way ahead of its time. That is really really good. Greetings, Nano Thingy. ARM has, like, the Fark, it has the Big Bertha, it has the Vamp, it has the Pelican, it has the Fibber. Core, like, has the Krogoth, but you don't care because Krogoths are bad. Core has Bombers, and Core has better sea units, mostly. ARM has better construction units, ARM has the Flash. Yeah, I mean, the Krogoth was fun. It's just not very good in competitive multiplayer. Yeah, the Spider Radiant being a good example of a unit that is never worth building in competitive multiplayer. There aren't actually that many that are never worth building, but Spider's not actually on my list of never worth building. Interestingly, there must be some edge case that it could do something, or maybe it just wasn't listed for some reason. Let's see. No, I don't have any explanation. Spider's just on the rarely worth building. There's some justification for using Spider for some reason. I guess because it's unique. It's a unit that paralyzes other units, and I think you could technically use it against like a Krogoth or something like that, and it can paralyze it or something. You could effectively say it's never worth using. That would be fine, I think. Alright, still catching up on chat. Yeah, the help build is cool. Like, when you're building something, other construction units can help build it at the same time. And of course that increases how much resource drain is happening at the same time. And that includes like your unit plans and stuff too. You can have like your commander sitting there help build units out of your vehicle plant or K-Bot lab or whatever. Greetings, Eltrius. Hey, Crabapple. You're installing metal and you're playing it wrong. I mean, you don't really want to be heavily stalling on metal. You want to be like right in that sweet spot in between, but stalling on metal is better than wasting metal in most cases, in any case, you know? But yeah, it's a game you can just keep expanding, keep building up, and then it can also just end in an instant if you catch the commander out in a bad spot and they get swarmed or something. It's one of only 4 games that or one of only 4 video games, I should clarify. There's board games as well, but that I rate a 10. So it's right behind Undertale, Final Fantasy VI, and Cave Story for me. Greetings, Jato. Thank you for 9 months. Yeah, what you're talking about, the TA Hook Lance Fighter, that is from the TA demo recorder / unofficial patch. That you can like queue up a line of things to build. So that's actually kind of funny too, because so that wasn't something that existed in original TA. TA was actually pretty well ahead of its time as far as quality of life goes. It had a lot of features that StarCraft didn't, and StarCraft came out a year later. So it had lots of nice little hotkeys and good, like, decent unit AI for pathfinding, and just lots of neat little things that made it cool to play. But queuing up lines of things you want to build a bunch of was not one of them. But that was something that was added unofficially in a Total Annihilation demo recorder, which was originally to record games, but they added some features with it. Mostly that feature and a whiteboard feature are the big ones. But when the TA Hook, when that first like took off, like I was like against it, because like if you didn't have the demo recorder, then it was cheating. So like, rather than just like embracing change and quality of life and the fact that like everyone playing competitive multiplayer was using the demo recorder, I would just like use the command to turn the hook ability off and be like, no, it's cheating, no one can use it. So I was like almost fighting against quality of life in a manner of speaking at that point. But I did later embrace it when I'm like, yeah, no, this is just better, and everyone that's playing competitively has the demo recorder anyway. So, you know. So, like, and as far as rating, like, FF6 a 10, and even Cave Story to that, for that matter, that is a rating based on the time I played it. Like, I still think FF6 is a good game and lives up quite well today. I think its gameplay has some significant problems, but I do think its characters and music and overarching story are all very strong. The writing has some problems as well. Like, it's not it's not nearly as bad as like Final Fantasy IV's writing, which is really not good. It's just really not good by today's standards at all. But 6 has some odd missteps in the writing here and there. Partially from the Rush translation, but partially just in general. But yeah, I think the characters in FF6 are really strong. The music is really strong, and it ends up with a strong, emotionally impactful story. So, and it was just a really kind of powerful and influential game on me in a lot of ways. Like, I mean, I did the appropriate first, like, early on the internet, like, barely teenager thing of making, like, a little Final Fantasy VI fan page on Tripod or something way back in the day, and, you know, things like that. Of course, it was Final Fantasy III to me then, but I still have a collection of MIDI files from FF6 and stuff like that. But, like, and even Cave Story for that matter, like, if I had never played Cave Story and played it, like, just for the first time today, it's still good. Like, I think it's a good game that's really charming and has some solid, fun gameplay, but it would have probably been more like an 8 rather than a 10 if I played it today. Like, I mean, I've played so many things like, I don't know, Celeste and Shovel Knight and stuff now, but like, when I first played Cave Story in 2005, like, it was really impactful, and it was like, wow, this is like what a free indie game can be. Like, my mind was blown. Like, I was like raving about it, like telling people on IRC, oh, you gotta play Cave Story, this game's great, I love it. And yeah, it was just a really impactful game, and kind of really helped reignite my love of platformer games, and like, kind of start me down the road to loving indie PC gaming and stuff like that. So they all hold a special place in my heart, you know. Hey there, Armadillo Tank. The huge dumbass arm thing for the transport units. Yeah, it looks very silly. On the plus side, those sea and hovercraft transport units are just kind of bad, and you shouldn't really use them anyway. So, you know. But, I mean, the switch from the first half of the game to the second half of the game in Final Fantasy VI, I think, was really cool and unique and pretty powerful. And just, like, kind of mind-blowing in a lot of ways, especially for the mid-90s. That's probably the most standout thing, but my actually favorite scene in Final Fantasy VI is a little bit past that. I mean, it's, you know, a 25-year-old game, so, like, but I'll still say spoilers for FF6, feel free to mute for a minute or whatever, but, so my favorite scene in the game is a little bit after the World of Ruin, which goes from your kind of normal world where, you know, you got villains, things are going wrong, to, like, the world just got destroyed, everything is horrible, what the hell, and, like, maybe everyone's dead, you just kind of woke up on this island, with only one other person there, and, like, everything seems desolate and hopeless, and, you just, like, start getting, like, hints that maybe some of your friends are still alive and stuff like that. And then there's this scene where you're meeting up with Setzer in the World of Ruin for the first time, and you're walking down this long stairway talking about his history with Daryl, and you get the Falcon, the second airship there. And, like, right as the Falcon, like, rises from the water, like, that is my favorite scene in the game. Like, it, goes, like, I'm teary-eyed just thinking about it. Like, it takes, it goes, like, in an instant, it takes this, sense of, like, overwhelming, like, kind of dread and, like, isolation and, hopelessness into, like, this new one, like, as it, changes. So, like, the overworld music is just this really bleak, music to start with in the World Ruin, and it changes when the Falcon rises out of the water there, and suddenly it's like, no, like, we can do this, our friends are still out there, like, like, it changes into this sense of hope, and it's really cool, like, that wasn't actually my, like, a particularly impactful scene when I played it as a kid, but when I replayed the game, like, it really hit me hard. I've technically played Supreme Commander, but basically not Gamma. I played slightly more Supreme Commander 2, but still only like 2 or 3 games or something. So not so much. Thumbs up when I'm done with spoilers. There you go. Hey, Thomas. Amphibious tanks are bad, by the way. We're talking about units you should never build in Total Annihilation. The amphibious tanks are 2 of those units. The Triton for arm is worthless, the Croc for core is worthless. Don't build those units. Again, do whatever's fun in single player, do whatever's fun, but if you're playing competitive multiplayer, never build those units, they're bad. Hey, Iron First, you get wrecked by Doom Gaze. I mean, fair, but you hopefully saved pretty recently. Hey, Enchato, you missed a great discussion. We talked about great things in Final Fantasy VI, and we talked about why Total Annihilation is good, and but yeah, like we talked about the Pelican, which is a not, it doesn't go underwater, but it goes over the water unit for arm, and that one's really powerful, partially because of a bug. But, hey, Kirkyu! That's right. See, like, if we talked about Earthbound, that description is almost accurate for me. I'm like, Earthbound, a beloved game, many people hold in high regard, a lot of people found it uniquely quirky and interesting. I personally think the ending of the game is done extremely well. 4.5 out of 10. That's the case. That was your first experience just after that scene, Iron First? Amazing. Amazing. We're caught up in chat now in Shato, so probably not. Probably not. Exactly, Sigma. I mean, like, if you can look at that Twitch sketch and cover if you want to see more elaborate thoughts and stuff. And as always, I never want to make anyone like feel bad for loving Earthbound or something. Like, I think I would have liked it a lot more if I played it back in the day and stuff too. But it didn't do super well for me as an adult, it turns out. But I still acknowledge some cool things that it did. But anyway, so first I'm just gonna play the opening cinematic for Total Annihilation. Like, I haven't seen this in a while. It's not even like that great, but it still holds a certain charm and appeal for me, certainly here. Greetings, Sigma Dragon. So let's seg into that real quick. I'll just launch that real quick, and then we'll connect to No Home and actually play a multiplayer game for the first time in 11 years. So, and this helps make sure that What? Well, I guess it's a good that we checked, because, like, I can't get it to switch the capture. Hello? What is... Why won't my scene switch? I can't even do the normal scene switches anymore. What? I mean, I'll do it manually real quick, I guess. Okay. Oh, okay. We can click here.
What began as a conflict over the transfer of consciousness from flesh to machines escalated into a war which has decimated 1,000,000 worlds. The core and the arm have all but exhausted the resources of a galaxy in their struggle for domination. Both sides now crippled beyond repair. The remnants of their armies continue to battle on ravaged planets, their hatred fueled by over 4,000 years of total war. This is a fight to the death. For each side, the only acceptable outcome is the complete elimination of the other.
Just watching some Pee-wee's wreck a tank. Those are arm bombers. Rather than, they should clearly be showing the core bombers. There's a unit that's never worth building, the AK. A little K-bot there. Alright, there you go. There's the intro sequence. Why does the AK? Because it's terrible. That's the problem. It can be adorable and still terrible. Like, it's of course a little hard not to think about that opening sequence in terms of like strategic play. I'm like, man, you just built all those intimidators right next to each other. Like, you could just do a single bombing run and take out like all 5 of those. That'd be terrible. Like, that would be so bad for you. Greetings, greetings, Zap, and hey! Oh yeah, you already here, Mr. Kaz. You hadn't talked yet, that's right. But, poor AK. I mean, the list of units that are strictly never worth building is not actually that big, but the AK is on it, I'm afraid. The AK is on it. Yeah. So, it's 23 years old, in fact, Zavin. Not just 22 years old. Hey, just, yes, Supreme Commander is one of the kind of spiritual successors to Total Annihilation. Yep. Exactly. So apparently when TA is running in that form, I can't switch scenes, but I'm pretty sure it let me switch scene. I can do it manually if I need to for multiplayer. That's fine. All right. That's right, Sam. The Valkyrie Atlas. I mean, those units are good, actually. So we were talking about the transport units for the water being bad, but the air transport unit has its uses. Anyway, so I guess if you're ready, no home, then we are good to launch Total Annihilation, and hopefully it works without any hiccups. And this a lot. It feels weird. It's been 11 years. 2009 when I last played this. It's crazy.